Hello and welcome to a new reading vlog. So for this week, I am mood reading again, which is my favourite thing to do. I love the themed vlogs, but a lot of the times for those I end up having to find books to suit the theme rather than just reading books that are already on my TBR. So it's not the most successful in terms of finding books that I enjoy. So I wanted to take a break and tackle my TBR and read some of these books that I've been anticipating. So let's get straight into it. I have read floral folklore, so after reading dark matter for the other vlog, I needed something completely benign and calming to my nervous system and to get my mind off it. So I picked up a flower book because you know me. This is by Alison Davies, illustration by Sarah Wildling. So I ended up rating this at 4.5 stars. I'll show you how it is formatted. So basically it'll start with an introduction to the season in which the plants grow. And then I'll just read this one for an example. So here we have carnation. So you have a full-page illustration. You've got the Latin name, the physical description of the plant, the flower meanings associated. So for carnation, it's purity, love, sorrow, and the dead. And then you've got the folklore origin, which here it says Mexico and Korea. And then you get either a folklore, a mythology, a story from one of the countries of origin of that flower. This is the flower of the dead. So it goes into a little tale, sometimes about how the flower got its name or just a story to do with its meanings. And then it ends with a ritual or a spell. This one is a ritual to honor lost loved ones. I'll just show you another one, for example. Here we have marjoram. So marjoram means love, warmth, cheerfulness, and a happy life. And it's from Europe. And then you've got a little story here. And the ritual is to cleanse your aura and feel refreshed. And I love that formatting. My favorite story was probably of the iris. That was my favorite, but I really like most of all the little rituals and spells that are included. The stories themselves, I wouldn't say they're written really well. They're very simple, very basic, like a child could read them. But I did enjoy my time with this and I gave it a 4.5 stars. And along the same vein, I picked up 101 Ways to Find Calm, How to Use Your Body to Soothe Your Mind by Rebecca Bella. I'll show you what this looks like on the inside. So it's very, I'd say child-friendly. The illustrations are very sweet. The colors are very calming. It's easy to read and easy to understand. It's very simple. And it's just a lot of ways that you can use your body to ground and calm your nervous system. It's a lot of embodiment and somatic practices in this one. I would highly recommend this for children. I think this would be a great way to help kids get into their body and calm down, because you could easily just flip to one and say, all right, today, let's try feeling the breath, or how about we do a body scan, or let's draw our emotions. So they could either flip to the scene when they like, or you could just do a little, all right, let's try this today. Let's do an A to Z distraction. So I've done obviously a lot of these. I think almost every single soothing practice in here I've already done and am familiar with. I've had a whole life of where I used to be a very anxious girly and had to constantly find ways to settle myself and soothe myself. And so I've been through them all. There was maybe 1 or 2 that I hadn't tried before. And I thought, oh yeah, but otherwise it includes pretty much just everything you can think of. So like I said, I think this would be fantastic for children, and I'm going to get my youngest to give it a look and maybe do some with her. I think that would be a fun connecting, bonding experience, and to give her some more tools in her tool belt for how to self-soothe. Oh my God, okay. I need a second to compose myself. And then I picked up In the Garden of Echo by H.S. Wolfe, Genesis book 1. If you recall, I put this very, very pretty cover, like stunning. That's a beautiful, beautiful cover. Book on my TBR. I couldn't find it. I finally found it. It came up on Amazon. I bought it. I paid for this. It's got a nice rose petal finished cover. This is like the inside of the book. It's very basic. The paper doesn't feel as good as like mass market decks. So sometimes you have some illustrations of butterflies, but sometimes the chapter will start with a Bible quote from Genesis. And I was expecting something very different based on the blurb. What I got was a monster, plant, insect, smut snuff book. This is all, well, I guess you'd call it erotic horror. Is that the term for it? But basically, if I had known what this book was, I wouldn't have read it. You have Ender and Echo, And they are these kind of, what would you call them, eldritch beings. They don't have gender, even though they refer to themselves as he or she. They have multiple types of genitalia. That they flip them around, they move them into different places. They're very fluid in that respect, and they're shapeshifters. So they do sometimes have human-esque bodies or insect-like bodies or plant-like bodies. It's a very gross book with a lot of fucking and killing and sucking and eating. Just the amount of fluids and everything in this is a lot. Basically, this couple just spends the whole time penetrating each other's innumerable holes and then taking snack breaks where they get like humans and they inject them with this venom that liquefies the insides and makes them all juicy and yummy and makes them all soupy, and then they bite off the heads, yum yum yum, and then once again they drink them like juice boxes, and they do a lot of other stuff too. And I feel like perhaps with all the Genesis talk and their little garden that they used to have before humans came along and made them move around, I feel like they were meant to be a really messed up version of Adam and Eve. But like, besides the Genesis quotes at the beginning and then that hint of them being from each other, like from a rib they grew the other, there's not a lot of religious talk or philosophizing or anything. I just don't feel like any really meaningful conversations are being had in this. It was just all gore and sex. You're not going to get like a lot of questions answered. It's very short, but I didn't enjoy it. I gave it a 1 star. It made me very uncomfy. And like I said, the writing was very basic. I didn't like Ender and Echo, obviously. There is no real humanity in them. They do love each other in a very codependent, unhealthy way. And they have I wouldn't even call it a hatred for humanity. It said in the blurb, oh, they're punishing humanity for their sins, but where was that mentioned whatsoever? No, it was not. Yeah, this is what, like monster-smut horror, I guess, right? It just, like it was so short and I paid for it, so I read it all. But after the first chapter, I'm like, no, I don't want to see this. And it's just so full on and gross. It does nothing for me at all. I don't find it sexy. I don't find it thought-provoking or resonating. And yeah, it was just vulgar. And this has so many good reviews. So many good reviews. There was only one other person that gave it a 1 star besides me. And everyone else was 5-starring this book. Like, oh, this is phenomenal. And I'm like, this? I'd understand if the writing was amazing. But average, mid. So I guess maybe the fan base for this kind of book found this book, and that's why all the reviews are amazing, because everyone knew what they were getting themselves into. But like I said on that blurb, I wasn't getting that vibe. I was expecting just more religious allegory and like a character study and conversations about humanity and all that sort of thing. But no. Oh man, so dirty. This was just so dirty in all the ways that you can use the word dirty. So yeah, that was In the Garden of Echo by Ada Swap, which I put on my reading TBR. I'm not gifting this to anyone. Oh my god. No, I could just put it in a donation bin, but like my fingerprints are all over it. You know, I don't want it being traced back to me. I'm sorry, I am going to recycle this. I just don't, I don't want some poor unsuspecting soul to pick this up. I think you have to like what that genre is to read this. Yeah, that's not for me. I just thought it was going to be something so different. And then I picked up When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. So I had this in my voting options for the Wild Ones Book Club. It didn't win. Very close. It was right behind The Ministry of Time. I wish this had won, guys. This was fantastic. This is a 4.5 stars for me. This is a book that is based on Slavic folklore, and it's that whole thing of who are the real monsters, the monsters or the monster slayers? And I love that. I don't get old of that shtick. I really do enjoy it. It's like, yes, monsters are misunderstood and they have hearts. Just because sometimes they prey upon humans, humans also prey upon everything. So I love this. It is a queer book. That's probably the most oddest part of it. The romance felt very sudden. Just boom. I'm like, where, what, how, when, how? It just is sprung upon you. I don't hate it, but at the same time, I was just caught unawares, caught by surprise of the romance. I don't feel like I even needed the romance either. I loved the threesome. Well, the trio, I should say. So you have a guy named Dimitir, and I don't know what, let me just check the thing. Does it say who he's part of? No, it does not. He's on a mission to find Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga is the baddest witch there ever was. And you don't really know what his plan is, but it says that his birthright is pain. And then you've got Allah, who is cursed, and she is a Zamora, I believe that's what they're called. And she eats people's fear. So she runs a theatre that plays horror movies. So everyone sits there watching the scary movies and she eats the fear. So do you know, I'm like, well, she's not really harming anybody. She's just basking in the ambience, you know, feeding off the vibes.
Bask in the ambience. Basking in the ambience.
And then a third guy who is oh my God, is it a striga? Oh, it's the ones that have like the owl, they can bring forth wings and an owl-like face, and they feed off anger. So they run fight clubs. Yeah, I just thought it was really cute. It's set in a modern world, and I liked seeing how the monsters sort of assimilate into humanity. And the monster slayers was interesting. I won't talk about too much. The bone sword was a very cool concept. It's a very short, fast-paced book. The first chapter is a bit off-putting, so I would say if you don't like the first chapter, keep going, because you've got a Leshe, I don't know how to pronounce these words, and Dimitir is there to try and get this very rare elusive flower that will grant you a wish. And so the Leshe speaks in a very odd grammatical way, so it was a bit weird, and you don't really know what is going on. Persevere, because that's just the first chapter, and then you're back in the modern world, and things make sense and pick up. And I just thought it was really well done. Oh, hello, baby. Hello. Says Blue. Hey, love you. But yes, I enjoyed this. So this was 4.5 stars for me. I really do like Slavic folklore-based books. I have not read a single one that I have not enjoyed. The authors who use it as the basis for their novels just work it really, really well and add things that are different, you know, to the stories and to the creatures, and put a unique, fresh spin on it. Hi. Oh, don't rip up my tights every time. She has to sit on my lap and she destroys my tights. I just got these. I just got them. The next book I picked up was Private Rites by Julia Armfield. I love you so much. You're so distracting. You're such a cuddle bug though. Hey, you little cuddle bug. This is a queer take on King Lear in a drowned world. So basically you have 3 very miserable sisters who don't really like, sorry, she's digging her nails into my tights, don't really like each other, and they are forced to reunite after the death of their father. This is set in a world that has had severe flooding. It rains all the time. So I think most of the world is submerged, but I'm going to say the world building was a bit weak. I had troubles understanding the logistics and visualizing what was actually going on. Basically, their dad was a renowned architect. Oh, okay, so the book opens up with a very weird culty-like scene. So the blurb on this is another case of where the synopsis was very misleading. The synopsis makes you feel by saying that the sisters have been chosen for a particular purpose, one with shattering implications for their family and their imperiled world. Something sinister seems to be unfolding. The fantastical element in this is just not there. It like I said, the culty aspect is, I guess, what that is alluding to. I did read 2/3 of this book and then gave it up because I just feel like the whole book felt soggy and damp. The writing is good, and I think that's why a lot of people would have read this, because this author wrote Our Wives Under the Sea, and I'm saying this author can write, but the characters and the melancholic plot are not. It just bored me. I thought, are we just going to be, it's a very introspective, insular book. You're inside the 3 POVs of each of the sisters. I was even feeling too, did there need to be 3? They're not very likable. The best thing that they have going for them is that they're all queer, you know, and it was just them talking about their family issues and the fact that they all have beef with each other and just don't relate. And their dad was weird and their mum died and she was a bit odd and kooky. Oh, and they're just miserable all the time because everything is wet, and I get it. I'm not a fan of never-ending rain if you have to be out in it, and I get it. That was a vibe, like the dampness of there was very heavy, and that's probably out of all of the sort of weather types that I like least, damp. If something is cold and damp, I'm gonna die. I'm not joking. My health will deteriorate rapidly. That's a condition that I am not suited for. Put me in a dry desert, fine. Damp, wet, no. So yeah, this was not for me, and I'm glad I DNF'd it. So I did stop, read some reviews. People that obviously didn't like it. I felt the same way as them about this book. Skip to the end to see, you know, the twist, and I'm like, that's it, and that's how it ended. I am very happy that I didn't push through. That is not my kind of ending whatsoever. And yeah, I just felt, once again, it was just the plot misleading. You're thinking, you're going into a book expecting a certain stuff and then getting something very different. I would recommend this to people who really, really just want to read her writing and who like dysfunctional sibling relationships and like the rain and soggy aesthetic. I guess that's who I would recommend this for. But yeah, it wasn't for me. I am currently, oh hello baby. Oh, Blue. She's so cute. I am currently reading My Darling Dreadful Thing by Johanna van Veen. So this is a gothic queer horror, and I believe it's set on the sort of seance era in history where ladies were hosting seance parties, and there's two, I think it's a sapphic romance, this one. I have literally read one page. That is all I've had time to read thus far, but that's what I'm planning on reading. There is one other book that I am including in this vlog, and that is The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. She's so loud in my ear. And this has finally come into the library. I've got to go pick it up today. This is a litfic, I think, with magical realism, where you have a woman who one day, a guy comes down from her attic and says he's her husband, and she looks around her house and everything's changed. It's as if she's been married to this person. And then he goes up into the attic, and the next day a different husband comes down, and therefore she has a different house, a different life. And I guess she's got to think, well, do I pick one of them and stop them from going up to the attic, or do I just let a new one come down every day? I think it's probably reminding me a lot of the online dating world these days, where I think some people are just like, I just need to find one and lock it in and settle down. Others are like, well, what else is out there though? Like, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Let me see some other options going on. I have heard mixed reviews about this, but I'm interested. So those are the two books that I have left to read for this vlog. I am going out to brunch by myself today, and I'll be doing a bookstore thing for the Wild Ones book club, so I won't be showing you that bookstore. You'll see it eventually with the Wild Ones. And then I've got the Inside Out movie tonight with my kids, which I'm very excited for. My youngest kiddo did want me to dress up. She told me last night as one of the characters, but I don't have time to go and find outfits, and I don't have the energy for it. So I've told her, I'm sorry, babes. That is something I absolutely would have done if I'd known she wanted me to beforehand. But I am very excited to see the film because I think I'll have a great time. But I'll see you guys later. So I changed. I am going as anxiety to the movie. So I've done the stripes. They've got like orange and white stripes. This is the most orange stripy look that I could do, and I've changed my makeup to be a bit more orange with the green underneath for the green eyes. So I read some of, Blue's got orange. You got orange bits on you? Yes, you do. I read some more of the book, and I'm enjoying it so far. So it is very creepy. It's very, oh, you want to get down? It's very violent. The mother in this is sickening. She is so abusive to her daughter. It is very, very hard to read, but basically the girl has made a friendship with one of these spirits named Ruth. She fed her blood, and now they're very much attached, and Ruth inhabits her body during the seances, but they've just met another woman and they think that this woman can see Ruth. So it's very interesting and I'm enjoying it thus far. I'll let you know how I go and how the movie was tomorrow. So I have finished My Darling Dreadful Thing, which is a sapphic gothic tale with abusive mothers, peaty spirits, and incest, surprisingly enough. But I feel like that's sort of part and parcel with some gothic tales, you know, siblings and cousins and the like. I ended up giving this a 3.25. It was okay. The sapphic relationship in there, it felt kind of forced to me. I didn't really buy it, and it wasn't very horror-filled besides the descriptions of the spirits being, you know, a bit decomposed and them wanting to drink blood and the occasional bit of, you know, physical violence. It wasn't too bad. It was more of that eerie, gross kind of spookiness. There wasn't really a twist. There was actually quite a lot of talk about racism because one of the characters is half Indonesian, and then a little bit about abusive parents and husbands and the like. There was an angle brought up where it was brought into question whether or not Ruse could actually see, bless you, ghosts, or whether it was schizophrenia. And so it feels very open-ended and uncertain as to what is the actual truth of the situation, because within the chapters there were transcripts from Ruse being interviewed by a psychiatrist about what happened once she was bought by Mrs. Knops from her abusive mother. Yeah, it just felt like a bit of a facsimile of other gothic tales that I enjoy a lot more. So I don't know why, but it just felt, yeah, very lightweight, and I just couldn't sink my teeth into it. Hey, beautiful girl. Oh, sweetie. My sweetie girl. Sylvie. So yeah, 3.25. But I guess if you like sapphic romance, but yeah, I don't know, something about it was just a bit off-putting. Gothic tales with spirits and people questioning whether they're actually sane, then this is for you. And then the final book that I read for this reading vlog is The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. Hello, darling. Where are you gonna go? On my lap? On my lap, but my legs aren't even together. And I actually really enjoy this. So I did end up giving it a 4 stars. This is more sort of fun, light-hearted look at the difficulty of choosing someone to spend your life with. Are you being too picky? Are you lowering your standards? And how exhausting the whole ritual of dating is, whether it is just online dating or like this lady, having a new husband come down from the attic each time you send one up. Pretty much, I just really enjoyed seeing what new husbands were coming in each day. She did make a rookie mistake in the beginning where she had found a husband she really, really liked. However, she did not put a lock on the attic door, and while she was home, he went up there, and that kind of devastated her, and it did shift the sort of tone and storyline of the book. There were some twists and that thrown in there so it didn't get too stale. I think some people do find it a bit too repetitive, but for some reason, I just didn't get sick of reading about every new husband that came down. I'd say in terms of Lauren, the character, I didn't really like her that much, but that wasn't the point. It was the whole novelty of who's she going out with today? But I'm a bit of a matchmaker by heart. I love hearing about people's dating stories and their love connections and all that sort of thing. The way it ended, I wouldn't have done what she did, but I understand why she got to that point. But it was fun and entertaining for me. So I really enjoy it. It's a very easy read. Do I think it could have been cut down? Yes, for the sake of pacing. But otherwise, yeah, it was a very bingeable read that I just read all in one sitting, and I had a good time. That's what I want from books sometimes. I just want to have a good time. So yeah, I gave this one a 4 stars. So let's have a look at all of the books that I read for this reading vlog. So we had In the Garden of Echo by H.S. Wolfe that I gave a 1 star. Erotic horror isn't really for me. I think the closest I can get to that was the book Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson. Anything more vulgar and gratuitous is not up my alley. Then I read Private Rites by Julia Armfield. I did DNF this after reading a big chunk of the book. It was just too tepid and uninspiring for me. I read Floral Folklore by Alison Davies, and I rated this a 4.5 stars. I am a flower girl. I read When Among Crows by Veronica Roth, and I gave this queer sapphic folklore book 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a quick, interesting read. I read 101 Ways to Find Calm, How to Use Your Body to Soothe Your Mind by Rebecca Balla. I recommend this if you're looking for ways to soothe your autonomic nervous system and ground yourself. I think it would be excellent for children. It includes a lot of the techniques and tips that our psychologist recommended for our daughter, but I think, yeah, it's a great little book to have on hand to help kids calm anxiety and find peace. I then read My Darling Dreadful Thing by Johanna van Vies. I gave this a 3.25 stars. It was fine, but it just felt a bit run-of-the-mill. And then I read The Husbands by Holly Gramazio, and I gave this a 4 stars. An entertaining look at what someone would do if they had an unlimited choice of instant husbands. So those were all of the books that I read this week. Until next time, stay wild, Star Child.